Welcome everybody to today's event. Thank you for being patient while we set up, and also for the makeshift audio. We have, there's no audio in here, so they had to bring a portable, so we hope that it works out. This event is sponsored on campus by the DVC Students for Democratic Society. I'm Mickey Huff, by the way, and Dr. Araim and I are co-organizers of the event here. We're briefly going to introduce people, basically tell you how we're going to do what we're going to do today. Anybody that's coming in the back, sitting down, there's a couple seats open. I see 3 seats open, so if you want to come and sit, that's fine. So we're going to, basically I'm going to introduce how we're going to do things, what the whole idea behind this forum is, and we're going to have each person speak individually, and then we're going to go and have questions so you all can participate, and we'll be here till 3:30. As I mentioned before, the event is sponsored by Students for Democratic Society on campus, so any students here that are interested, the group meets Wednesdays at 3 in LA 118. I have had the good fortune of being a faculty evaluator and advisor for the group, which has been a really great experience, and they're the busiest group on campus by far. They have events going on, sometimes 2 a week, and they are working in the community on social justice issues. So if you're interested in that, please come to LA 118 at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, or come and see us afterwards. Without further delay, this event is titled An Obama Report Card, a panel discussion with updates on achievements and work still needed for social justice 1 year after the election. As we know, it was an historic election. There were large numbers of people coming out to vote, many people, of course, buying into a lot of the rhetoric of hope and change and for new directions and so forth. And what we're here doing today is assessing how much of that hope and change has actually materialized. So basically, we're kind of looking both at what the American public purportedly wanted, what they maybe were voting for, and what they're actually getting. And we're going to be looking at several topics. We have guests here speaking. I'm giving an introduction. I'm a professor of history here. Dr. Araim is professor of political science here, so we're basically going to introduce some basic ideas of themes for the day, for the afternoon. The first speaker after Dr. Araim will be Natalie Russel, who's the co-chair of the Social Justice Alliance of Interfaith Council of Contra, Costa County. So she's going to be coming up and talking about some issues, domestic issues. I'm going to be talking about some educational issues. Pat Snyder is coming. She is here as chair, Healthcare for All in Contra Costa. So that's obviously going to be another one of the issues, is healthcare. You're obviously well aware that you can have a panel discussion on any one of these topics for the whole afternoon or half a year. It's longer than that. But anyway, we're going to have these folks lend their expertise to the topic, and we're delighted to have them here to share with us today. The third speaker is Nora Barrows-Friedman, who is at the end of the table there. Nora is at Flashpoints, does the program Flashpoints with Dennis Bernstein at KPFA on Pacifica Radio. It's on 5 o'clock, 94.1 FM. It's on Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock. And Nora does a lot of great work, a lot of journalism. She's going to be speaking to us about Israel, Palestine, what's going on in Gaza. And how many times were you in Gaza this year?
This year I haven't been to Gaza.
But the year before?
The year before once. I've only been twice.
Okay.
It's very hard to get. But I've been to Palestine a dozen times.
Okay. So Nora's going to talk about those issues. And again, we're doing this on the backdrop of this idea of an Obama report card. What has Obama said he was going to do? What has he promised? What has he delivered on? What has he not delivered on? Should there be people in liberal or progressive communities that are surprised with some of the things that Obama has done? Make significant arguments that people really ought not be surprised when they look at the composition of the administration, and actually not as much has changed as people may have hoped for, particularly those that have voted for him. The fourth speaker is DVC student Kajal Shahali. She's also a teaching assistant for me, and Kajal just came back this summer from Iran, and was in Tehran during the elections, and she's going to talk to us about some of those things and what was going on over there. So those are all of the speakers, and those are all the issues: healthcare, economy, education, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, Iran situation, and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's a tall order to do in a short period of time. I'm on record as saying so. But I think it's a really welcome invitation into having a dialogue on this campus. And I know Amer and I have talked, we've worked before in the past, and we talked about wanting to do something, and the SDS students on campus said, yeah, we need to talk about what's going on with this, and we need to have an open dialogue about what's going on. So that's what we're here to do today. This is not then a conclusive exercise. This is an invitation, and it's an ongoing affair. So we hope that some of you then that are engaged in today's event will continue to talk to each other, and maybe also get in touch with us on campus to have future events. So I'm very briefly going to talk about economy and education. You're not doing those topics. Just making sure I'm not taking, I'm often accused of taking other people's topics and saying too much. So today it'll be very little. We have a lot of other people here to say a lot of interesting things. But on the backdrop again of all of the things that are happening today, I wanted to at least briefly mention that if you go back and look at polls in the summer of 2008, polls that really looked to see what Americans were thinking and what their attitudes were about key issues of the day, what you see overwhelmingly is a significant majority of people that did want change, and they did want the nature of government and the role of government to change in a much more progressive way with the communities at large, with the public at large. And if you take a look at the data from the polls, I mean, and this is clear. Now, you're not going to see that from watching the corporate media, where this stuff is largely buried. But these are scientific polls that are done that show, to give you just a brief example. By the way, you can see this poll at Yes Magazine. You can see it online. Sarah Van Gelder did a piece on this, and you can see it at yesmagazine.org. 67% of the public favors public works projects to create jobs. 73% think corporations don't pay a fair share of taxes. 80% support increasing the federal minimum wage. 90% favor higher auto fuel efficiency standards. 68% believe a president should not act alone to fight terrorism without checks and balances of courts and Congress. 75% favor clean electricity, not clean coal, which there is no such thing. 72% support more funding for mass transit. 80% favor banning weapons in space. 81% oppose torture. We can go on and on and on here. So this seems to be showing that in a majority of the public, people want more progressive agenda. And that's actually what Obama was promising on the election campaign trail. Of course, what we've seen in the ensuing year are a lot of unkept promises to the American people who were supporting these things. And again, you can go and look at the polls online at yesmagazine.org. The first two things that we can talk about, again, very briefly, education and economy. Many of you are students. I don't need to say a whole lot about what's going on with education and fee hikes and cut classes and so on. For the first time, to my knowledge, the Contra Community College District is turning away thousands of students this year. Community college used to be free, used to be a place anybody could go. They're turning people away in droves. So if you want to get more active in what's going on in that, the SDS have been doing rallies. They're involved in major activities that are going to be coming on board, setting into a large congregation in March in the next year. So these are things that affect you directly, things like fee hikes. You can get involved in that in student government. So if you want to take a look at Obama's education policies, again, I'm not going to talk about this very long, but Obama has actually continued most of the Bush education policies from No Child Left Behind. There's a big push for charter schools, basically take money and funds away from public schools. And the person that has been, Art Duncan, who's the Secretary of Education that Obama appointed, used to run the Chicago public schools.